Hey everybody, Matt here, and today I have got the latest release from the Backbone Bourbon Company. This is their Triple Down Light Whiskey, 11-year-old single barrel, selected by yours truly here at Big Red Liquors. And this is kind of a whiskey nerd alert a little bit. Light whiskey that was made at MGP several years ago. I think was sort of a throwback to the Seagram's blending days when they would use this whiskey to blend into some of their other whiskeys. Remember, that's what MGP did. Seagram's VO, Crown Royal, I mean, some of the most popular and most successful brands, blended brands ever to exist. And those flavor components and that DNA can really be found within the sort of leftovers, if you will, of what MGP does. So that 95% rye, when you taste that, you can taste that DNA when you taste Crown Royal. When you taste this light whiskey, when you proof it down, this is bottled at 140 proof, but when you proof this down with a cap of water, you really get the flavor of like a high-end Canadian blended whiskey. Even though this was made in Indiana, and it's now 11 years old, which is probably longer than people ever thought it would last. But when MGP started selling bulk whiskey to non-distiller producers, I've seen these sheets many years ago, but they would list on there what they had, like the 95% rye, the 20% rye bourbon, etc. And one of the whiskeys on there would be this light whiskey, which is just something they had in stock, probably wasn't moving very well. That's why it got up into the double digits in terms of age. And as craft producers were looking at these things, they thought, well, maybe we'll try that. I know High West has bottled a 14-year-old version of it. This is an 11-year-old version of it. Again, this is bottled at 140 proof. I would not suggest sipping it at 140 proof. I would always suggest a little cap of water. This is used cooperage, so these are barrels that have been used either once or twice. 99% corn mash. So this smells like vanilla ice cream, vanilla pudding. Let's sip it. Hint of oak spice, but then you've got that kind of creamy toffee. That's almost like that sort of creamy, like nougat candy component that is very identifiable in Canadian blended whiskeys. Really comes out. Definitely a strong sweet vanilla component to it. But because this has been in the barrel so long, even a used barrel, it does have this added layer of spice complexity to it, which I really like. This is not like your Friday, Saturday night tipple. This is just something for the whiskey nerd to taste this, to understand where flavors come from, where blenders kind of, how they do what they do, and they layer all these flavors and these straight whiskeys and grain whiskeys on top of one another. I think it's really useful to understand whiskey flavor, and that's why we are offering this for $49.99. Great price for what it is for an 11-year-old whiskey, and extremely rare. As far as I know, this is the only single barrel offering of this MGP light whiskey that I've ever seen on the market. So kind of something fun and different, which is always the goal. Cheers.